It was always going to be a tough ask for Kelso, coming off the back of 4 straight defeats and going toe-to-toe against unbeaten top-of-the-table AYR. And so it proved, but it certainly wasn't one-way traffic, and Kelso will be disappointed that they didn't get a try bonus out of the game. But it was Terry Logan who put the home team in front early on with this converted try to give them a 7-point lead. It didn't take long for AYR to get on the scoreboard themselves, Ryan Sweeney getting over the line, and with Matt Irwin converting, we were all square. Sweeney completed his brace 10 minutes later, the back rower enjoying more success as his pack continued to give Kelso a hard time up front, and Irwin bagging his second conversion. On the half-hour mark, Blair McPherson proved that the back row club certainly know their way to the line, and AYR's third converted try gave the visitors a 14-point cushion. Kelso on their home patch are a tough nut to crack, and when they have influential players like Big Keith Melbourne in the pack who can score from anywhere in the field, there's always hope, and so he proved when he rampaged down the park to score a crowd-pleasing try to narrow the gap between the sides once again. Approaching half-time with the score at 21-12 to AYR, Kelso were very competitive, but just on the stroke of half-time, prop Jamie Drummond struck a blow for AYR with another forwards try and a bonus one at that, and all of a sudden the scoreline of 26-12 at half-time didn't look as good from a Kelso perspective. The first score after the break would be crucial in the game, and it was Jamie Shedden who showed his power and pace, collecting a ball from a goal line dropout to sprint in and put clear daylight between the two teams, and finally show his pack that the backs are more than capable of getting over the whitewash themselves if they get their hands on the ball. That try was converted, and then on the hour it was a golden moment for Ryan Sweeney. He collected his first ever hat-trick, and he'll certainly savour that one as the points total for AYR reached 38. Bruce McNeil was constantly in the thick of it, one of the leading scorers in the Premiership this season, and it was inevitable that he would dot down in the match. And he did in the final quarter to give Kelso a good chance of a try bonus as Dwayne Patterson kicked the 2 points to make it 38-19. So everything to play for Kelso in the dying minutes, but AYR turned the screw, and Cameron Van Wyck decided that just one try by an AYR back was unacceptable, so he finished the game off with a brace of his own to put a bit of gloss on the scoreboard at the end. And AYR remain at the top of the table, buoyed by the news that the night before Heriots lost for the first time this season to Watsonians, and that means AYR's perfect 30 points gives them a 5-point lead at the top of the Premiership, as it ended Kelso 19, AYR 48.
I mean, we obviously knew AYR were going to come down with a game plan to bring it hard to us, and we knew that defence was going to be a big part of our game, but you know, we're just letting teams score too easily. I think, as you said, we brought it to them in the first 20 minutes that, you know, we were just trying to bring that momentum and build on our success, but it never went well at times, and teams like AYR and other teams at the top are going to punish us for that.
We're pretty well drilled in terms of our coaching setup with the forwards. You know, we've got Pat MacArthur, for example, who's a great coach, obviously played at the highest level, but he really drills down on us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I think that kind of played in. But at the same time, you know, we came into the unknown. Like, I've never played at Kelso before. A lot of boys haven't played here, especially the boys that were in Super 6, so it's kind of an interesting one. There's a great crowd here as well, so no, I think the crowd may have played a massive part to that. So no, it was, I don't think the scoreline really reflected, you know, how tough that was on the pitch. It was a quite brutal game, especially guys like Bruce McNeil, tough to play against.
We obviously know in coming up into the Prem and trying to survive here that we have to take the chances when they come, and getting into the 22 against teams like AYR, you have to convert them, you have to come away with points. Obviously a very disappointing set of phases. I don't believe it hurt us too much in terms of kind of, I know the boys will be able to kind of regroup and go hard with the momentum coming into that second half, but like I said, we have to make sure we come away with points at times of those in games like this, especially when we're on their 5 and we can't give away silly penalties or turn the ball over on phases like that.
I think from the get-go we kind of set out, you know, I think there was a lot of articles and stuff online about how we're going to perform and how the target's on our backs, but to be honest, we don't really think about that. Every Tuesday and Thursday it's the same sort of protocol. It's review the game from last week, review the head going ahead, and that's kind of what we do. We take it one game at a time. You know, we set out the standards at the start, and the first one was never lose at home, and the next one was let's try and get the best we can when we're away. So I think, you know, Pat and Grant and Fraser Climo, they've all set the standards from the very beginning of pre-season, and we've just tried to follow them week in, week out. So I think we've done quite well so far.
I think we did compete with the top team in this league for that first 20-30 minutes, which, as you said, no one writ us off to win this game. So we have to take the positives, we have to build on that momentum, and we have to just take the penalty count, lower that, and build on the phases of play that we're succeeding with, and look to, we have to make sure that we're scoring points, but we also have to make sure we're making it much harder for teams to not come away with points, which that's rugby.